Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football, our Premier League match day 13, 12, match day 12 preview for today. And it's, well, again, most like the previous preview episodes, we're not going to go too deeply into the games, but we're going to pick a few talking points that will be highlighted and that will be one to look out for this weekend's game. So we're going to kind of touch on that, or I'm going to touch on that. But please smash a like if you enjoy this video, and also remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new. We want to try and get to 130 subscribers by the end of the weekend, so please support us by subscribing, and we want to keep your support helps us continue to produce this engaging content and hopefully entertaining content for you as well. So please do that. But let's get right into it. Let's get into this weekend, and it's an interesting one. The big headlines will probably be taken by the Manchester derby, and that is probably the sorry about that, but that is the biggest game for this. It's actually the first game that we're going to preview. It's actually the first big game of the weekend as well, on Saturday tomorrow. And I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Man City actually below Manchester United in the league. How about that? After 11 games or 10 games in their case, how many times does that happen? How many times has that happened in the last decade or so, where United are above Manchester City after 10 games? I can't remember the last time. I think probably was the title winning season. I think was the last time that might have happened. Maybe Van Gaal's second season, maybe that had happened as well. But can't think of too many occasions, certainly, where at this stage of the season, United have been above City. But sometimes the table does lie, and I think in this case, it doesn't tell the full story. At least sometimes, well, not at the end of the season, but usually in the middle of the season, sometimes the table can lie. And I think that there are some issues there. I mean, the biggest key point, of course, will be what is Manchester United's mental state going to be. I mean, you got to look at City. They finished top of the table. I think only one goal conceded. I mean, it was an easy group. You can't take that away. From the Champions League group stages, the fact that City had a really easy group, and they would have had to really struggle to not qualify for the knockout stages, and that's fair enough. That happens, and they pretty much have had the week off in a sense, because the game in between was like a run out, and so they just got a little bit of minutes in the legs. They kind of it was kind of like a friendly exhibition game in some sense, but it was a good win for City. So they've kind of come through that. Manchester United on the other hand, had a really shocking, morale sapping defeat to Leipzig. There are lots of questions about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at this point, and I think this game, in some ways, the timing of this game is really it could go either way, and I'll talk about that. But mentally, I think this will be a key point. I think United, they're going to come. What state are they going to be coming into this game? I think that will be critical. The way to look at those, if this was, the next game is Sheffield. If this game was Sheffield United, and the next one was Manchester City, I think that would have been preferable, not just mentally, but I think that the issue is, for Solskjaer, what do you do? There's obvious. It's now beyond obvious. I think it's quite clear, and I'm sure Solskjaer sees it too. But it's quite obvious that defense is not going to work. That back four or back five in this case, in last game's case, but surely the back four even is not going to work. He's got to change that. But the problem is, do you change it now against Manchester City? It's a big game, and oftentimes what happens with managers is, you don't want to now make the changes for continuity. You could even include David De Gea and then say that back five doesn't work. If you want to include the goalkeeper, it doesn't work. And do you change it? Do you take off David De Gea? There was rumors that the players have asked for David De Gea to be dropped in favor of Dean Henderson. I don't know if that's true or not. We haven't heard much about that yet. But would you drop David De Gea for this big game and bring in Dean Henderson? Would you drop one of Maguire, Lindelof, bring in Axel Tuanzebe? Would you drop Van Bissaka and bring in Fosu Mensah? If this, the ultimate question is, how does Solskjaer see this game? Does he see it as one where he needs to make changes, because if he doesn't make changes, he's going to lose the game? Or does he see it as a game where if he makes changes, it's kind of like, do you upset the rhythm of what's already established? You kind of think, okay, let's get through this game, and then we'll think about changes, because right now we don't want to upset the rhythm or whatever that's established, at least in the Premier League. And then the issue becomes, if this team somehow manages to pick up a win, they won't, but if they do somehow manage to pick up a win, then the thing that goes back is, oh well, look, the players are not that bad, they just had a bad day, and then it justifies him to keep picking those players. So it's kind of a bit of a catch-22 situation. And if he does lose, which he probably will, then it's like, well, everybody knew you should have changed it, so why didn't you just change it anyway? So I mean, it's going to be interesting. If it were up to me, if I was a manager, I probably would. I would keep the back five for this game. I would keep a back five for this game, but not the back five that started against Leipzig. And that's just asking for trouble. I think Axel Tuanzebe needs to come in, and all he needs to grow a set and decide: should I drop Harry Maguire or should I drop Lindelof? One of them has to be dropped. He's got to grow a set, and he's got to drop one of them. He's got to decide which one. I would probably keep Van Bissaka, because then you still have a little bit of continuity. And I think if Van Bissaka has Axel Tuanzebe next to him, I think he'll feel that much more confident. And I think against PSG we saw it. When Tuanzebe and Bissaka play together, they were fine. And I think that and that's what he needs to look at. I would drop Maguire. That's just personal opinion. I would drop Maguire because I think Maguire is a real weak link in that defense. He doesn't offer anything that Lindelof doesn't offer. And I think Lindelof is a better defender than he is. He's got a little bit more pace as well. So I would drop Lindelof. I would keep Shaw. I think keeping Shaw and Tuanzebe is fine. And then of course you have Telles and Van Bissaka, in the five, and then you've got a back five. But in that midfield, I think you can't start McTominay and Matic. I would start Fred and Van de Beek. I would start Fred and Van de Beek. Again, having Van de Beek allows you a little bit more, mobility and creativity up front, which Fred doesn't offer. Though I'm fine with McTominay and Van de Beek as well. But I think just for the stigma of what has happened, on Tuesday, I think it's best to just take off that midfield and put in Fred and put in Van de Beek, and then you've got a fresh start. And then, of course, Bruno up front. The likelihood is Martial is not going to be fit, so it's going to probably be Greenwood and Rashford, because Cavani also is not fit, and we know. So that would probably be my back five. If you've got a good back five, the goalkeeper doesn't really come much into it. I'd probably keep De Gea because I don't think he's done a lot wrong. I would keep De Gea for this game. Again, it's just a matter of keeping continuity. But again, if you want to bring in Henderson, that's fine. But I think just because this game is now, you've got to look at continuity as well. So you've got to bring in a De Gea. But the question is, would Oli be brave enough to drop Maguire? And I don't think he will be. I don't think he will be, because ultimately, Maguire. The issue with Maguire is that tape around his arm, right, which we call a captain's armband. That is the issue, because you drop him, it sends a message, right? He's basically a leader, and for me, it sends the right message, because you're basically telling Harry Maguire that just because you're captain doesn't mean you're going to start every game, even though you're crap, right? But the problem is, football these days is very political, and players, they see that, and then the players will think, because Pogba's already alienated, so he's on one side. If you alienate the captain as well by pushing him away, then you start creating a little bit of an unrest, and we know there are cliques in that dressing room. So then it will be a case of certain players who are pro Harry Maguire, pro Pogba, they'll probably be thinking, what, maybe Ollie's not the right guy. Maybe we should, especially if they lose the game against City, then that might be an issue. Right now he's got the players on side, and that's really the only thing that's perhaps keeping him in a job, because they pull out results when they need to. But that will be a question that is to be answered, and I think that is where the game will be won and lost based on his decisions on the players that he starts. In terms of, the Paul Pogba situation, I think it's quite obvious he shouldn't be starting this game. I don't think he should be. And again, this is another question mark. Will he start him? And I just feel like he's going to start him, because he'll want to appease him and he'll want to appease Raiola, and he's probably going to start him. Not in a central midfield role. I think he's going to play him as a winger. Again, it might just be to play as a 4-2-3-1. To go to a back four. There's talk that he wants to go back to back four. So if he goes to a back four, he might play Pogba as a winger, and then use Rashford as a striker and Greenwood as another winger. So he might do that. I think that would be a mistake. I don't think he should start Pogba, but I feel like he might do that. Again, we'll have to wait and watch. But those are decisions. He has the option of putting a diamond as well, where he goes with the midfield three of maybe Donny, Fred, and Pogba. Though it's most likely going to be McTominay, Fred, and Pogba that are going to play in that midfield, and then he's going to have a three of Rashford, Greenwood, and Bruno. As a diamond as well. That could happen as well. But I think Pogba shouldn't be starting this game. I honestly don't think he should be starting this game. I know people are going to have differing opinions. I just don't think he's in the right frame of mind to be starting games right now. And particularly, I think against a team that like City, you really don't want to have and carry any passengers in the team. And I feel like he might be a passenger in this game. But we shall see. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. Maybe Pogba's going to have a man of the match, 10 out of 10 performance. We never know. But that's just the way I'm seeing, the way that my opinion and my brain works. And obviously, people have differing opinions about that. For Manchester City, though, what's interesting is they won the last two games. They look like they're going to be they're on a good run of form now. They've kind of like they're getting back to their groove of not just winning games but actually dominating games and playing well. And it's a small sample size, but they are unbeaten now in the last 5 games. They've not conceded a goal as well. So they are kind of getting into that rhythm, and they won't probably Sergio Aguero will not be available. That's the news. So Gabriel Jesus will start. All the more reason why I think they should go with the back five, because Gabriel Jesus is not a very elite striker who can convert a lot of chances. So basically, if you can nullify him and nullify the chances that he creates, and you've got an opportunity there to break and get goal scoring opportunities. But anyway, so apparently Gabriel Jesus will be starting. I mean, the only question I guess from City's point of view is who is going to be the two wingers, and will it be Mahrez, Sterling, uh, Ferran Torres? Who among them is going to start? I think Sterling and Ferran should be the two that should start. I don't think Mahrez has really, he's got a hat trick I think recently, but I just feel in these big games he kind of overdoes things a little bit. If City want to win, they've got to start with Ferran Torres. In that. So the other option is probably Bernardo Silva or Phil Foden. I think Phil Foden probably is better off playing as a midfielder, I think, but you never know. With Pep, you never know. Gundogan is probably not available. It might very well be. He might very well go with the holding pivot of Fernandinho and Rodri. The idea being to sort of stop United from breaking forward quickly. So he might do that and then play Bernardo Silva as a winger or Phil Foden as a winger to create to allow him to have that more creativity from the wings. But again, City have so many different combinations and so many different world class, not world class but top class players that they can fit into. It's scary to think why they're so low in the table right now. But I mean, it's about combinations. I don't think he should go with two holding midfielders. I don't think he needs that. I think the key is going to be the fact that United probably won't have Martial, so they won't have anyone to hold the ball up. So it's going to be a lot of balls that are going to go through and going to run through, and as long and having two holding midfielders against a team that's probably not going to play a striker is a little bit of an overkill, because basically what you're doing is you're kind of limiting your creativity against a team that's probably going to park the bus. You need players who are going to break Manchester United down, and at the same time, you don't need the outlet ball is going to be Bruno Fernandes. So playing two holding midfielders would be suicide if he does that. So hopefully he doesn't do that. Hopefully he plays one holding midfielder. Well, from a fan, I hope he does that he plays two holding midfielders, because it kind of helps United a bit. But I think as a City fan, if you're watching, you probably don't want him to play two holding midfielders against Manchester United. I think he's got to make a decision, Rodri or Fernandinho, in that holding role, and then I would go with Foden and De Bruyne in midfield. I like Foden. Foden is a City player, but I like him. I like seeing him, because I think every time he plays, he does something. So that would be my two, and then you have Sterling and Varane, who offer a bit of goal threat, and then you have Gabriel Jesus as a striker, because Aguero is not available. So that would be my front six, so to speak, five front six. And I guess in defense, kind of picks itself, doesn't it? You've got Walker and Cancelo, Mendy. I mean, Mendy, if he's in form, you probably want to pick Mendy, but even Cancelo, I've heard John Stones. I would not pick John Stones in this game. I think I would go with Ruben Dias and Aymeric Laporte. Even though John Stones has been doing well, I think the thing about John Stones is he's error prone. And this game, what you don't want to do as a City player or fan is you don't want to give Manchester United, you don't want to make an error that allows United to score a goal. You don't. The thing about United is if United score the first goal, it's a problem for teams. You don't want to do that. You want to keep it goalless for as long as possible. And you want to get an early goal yourself if you can against United. That is the key. If you get an early goal against Man United, it's game over for United. They're not coming back in this game. So United's focus will be on keeping a 0-0 for as long as possible, and hopefully getting an error on the break or something that's going to happen, that comes for them, because I honestly don't see United getting a lot of chances to score. So you don't want an error prone defender in there, or a defender who's going to make errors, or it's not good in the air or whatever, because you really want two composed defenders. And I think Diaz and Laporte is the way forward. But I mean, it's Pep, and we just don't know what team he's going to pick. We don't know. In terms of predictions, I think the key players, I think it's quite obvious. It's going to be De Bruyne and Bruno. I think De Bruyne's vision and his ability on the ball is going to be key, because he's the one who's going to have to break Manchester United down. A lot of people will make the battle between Sterling and Wan-Bissaka, but honestly, At this one, Van Bissaka, it looks like a pale shadow of what he was last season. So I don't even know what kind of state he's going to be in. Hopefully, Sterling is intelligent enough to know that he shouldn't be running past Van Bissaka. Just try and use, your midfield companion or your fullback to try to overload on that right side. Because if whether it's a back five or whether it's a diamond, he's gonna have opportunities to overload on that right wing, or in Sterling's case, it will be left wing, but he's going to have opportunities to overload. So let him use that, rather than trying to run past Van Bissaka, because Van Bissaka is very good. If you try to run past him, he's pretty good at stopping you. So what you want to do is you want to pass it around. You want to play around him, and if you play around him, he's not that good. So that's what you would want to do, and hopefully Sterling has learned from that. But I mean, Bruno obviously is the man for United. I think everything goes through him. And that's why you want to start Van de Beek, because he'll offer a little bit of creativity and he can get stuck in, he can win the ball back. So that's why you probably want to start him. So you have two outlets, but we'll see what he picks. We'll see what he picks. I think it's going to be a straightforward City win. I think I'm going with 2-0. 2-0 or 3-0. I can easily see it being 2-0 and 3-0 very quickly, because once it's 1-0 or 2-0, once it's 2-0, United will try to come out, and then they'll consider third goal. I honestly don't see United scoring without Martial or Cavani in this game. It's going to be hard because they won't have anyone to hold the ball up. So unless Bruno can find space to keep playing through balls through to Rashford, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. And Greenwood is not in form. I know it's got a great goal against West Ham, but he misses. He's not been the same Greenwood that was there at the end of last season. So I can easily see this being a 2-0 or 3-0 win for Manchester City. I think that I'll go with 3-0. I'll go with 3-0 Manchester City. Yeah, I'll be a bit brave and I'll say 3-0. I'll say City will score 3 goals. I don't think Solskjaer will be sacked. No matter what the result, I don't think he's going to be sacked. But if when he loses to Man City, it is going to be tough for him. The Sheffield United game and the Everton game and the Cup will then become really, really key, and he'll need to win those. And obviously Leeds in there as well, so he's going to need to win those. But this game, just the mental state of United, just the mental state of City, the physical state that United are in as well with the injuries and things like that. There's just too much going against them at this point. There's a bit of dressing room unrest as well. There's just too much going against them at this point. They're not going to be able to win this one, sadly enough. We'll move on to the next game though, and it's Everton against Chelsea. And there's not a lot to talk here. The only real talking point is Christian Pulisic. There's actually a couple, but I think Christian Pulisic is again slightly injured. He may not start, and that is going to be a worry for Chelsea, because Pulisic probably is one of the better. He is one of the better players in the Chelsea squad. He might probably be even one of their best wingers at the moment. But if you're going to be injury prone, it really affects the team and affects your prospects. And I think they need to figure out what's wrong with Pulisic. Is it an issue of game time? Is it an issue with something that's more serious than that? Because the last thing you want as a player is to keep getting injured, and the last thing you want as a club is having a player that you rely upon keep getting injured. And Pulisic has got to be careful, because he's worked very hard to come back into the side, to actually play games and to actually be a starter. And having had that opportunity now to then throw it away because he's getting injured a lot, I think that would be a shame for him. So he needs to work it out. He needs to probably work on his fitness a little bit more. Chelsea need to think about what they're doing. Is there a way that they can manage his minutes, his football? They need to look into all of that, and they need to figure it out. I don't think this is a COVID thing or a lockdown thing, because or a schedule thing, because he was having these issues last season as well. But you don't want that. You don't want as a big club, you don't want to rely on a player who's injury prone, because then you basically you use up a squad space that could be used to buy another player, but you don't buy it because you're relying on this player, and then that player keeps getting injured. It affects you, because it weakens an area of the squad. So they need to look into that. And him being fit is very important, because then Werner doesn't actually have to play as a winger, and he can actually play as a striker. But that's something to figure out. Otherwise, Chelsea look pretty solid. I don't think there's too many issues. I think Everton started the season really well. We all thought there would be a title challenge. Some were optimistic. We thought there was going to be a title challenge. Maybe there's going to be a Champions League challenge. But at the moment, they're kind of rooted in mid-table. Once again, they're back to their inconsistent self. I mean, James Rodriguez had a great start, but that's kind of what he's been about at Real Madrid as well. He goes through these patches where he plays really well, then he doesn't play so well, then he plays well, then he doesn't play so well. So Everton, it's been a tough ride for Everton. I think Chelsea have finally found that form, and they're finally now firing on cylinders. This week and next week is critical, because keep in mind that Tottenham are playing Liverpool next after this one. And Chelsea, they're going to play Everton, and then the next game is against Wolves. So if they win that, and if they'll actually kind of jump, and if the other game is in a draw, we could very well have a situation where all three teams, we we have a three-way tie at the top at the end of the next game week. If it could happen, it could happen. A lot of things need to go a certain way, but that could happen. But how interesting would that be? Going into what 13 games, 13 games in the season to have that. That would be really interesting. But aside from that, I think this should be a straightforward win for Chelsea as well. I think maybe not straightforward, but should be a win. I think I'm going with 3-1. I think I can see Everton scoring a goal, but I think Chelsea will have enough to pull out with the win. Particularly, again, they had the week off as well. They didn't really, this week, the pretty much the academy players went and played in the last game. So, they had against Krasnodar, I believe. Yeah, so it was they pretty much had the week off. So Everton won't have that benefit of, being well rested. They had the week off, and Chelsea had the week off as well. So, yeah, I can see Chelsea beating Everton 3-1 is what I'm going with. And then we come into Sunday's games, and I think the big one there is, again, there's two big ones there. I think Crystal Palace against Tottenham. I think this is a game that's important for Tottenham. They've come through three very tricky ties. They got a draw with Chelsea. They beat Arsenal. They beat Manchester City. They got 7 points from nine. From 3 games. And most people in previous seasons, they probably would not have got 7 points. They probably might have got 3 points or 4 points. They've actually done very well. Now to get 7 points, they put themselves in a good position. They're still top of the league after this run of games. And now they've got a big game coming up against Liverpool. And so these are the games, the Crystal Palaces, the Wolves, the Leeds, these are the ones that you need to win. If you want to win the title, these are the games that you need to win. So it's very easy to lose focus and to think, we've got Liverpool next, so we've got to think about that. But no, they've got to think about Crystal Palace. This is an important game for them to show that they can step up not only when it matters, but they can step up even when they need to, when they have to. Right? I mean, it's one of those things where it's easy to step up. It's easy to be up for a game against Arsenal. It's easy to be up for a game against Chelsea. But the Crystal Palaces, those are the games where, sometimes where the great teams, they step up, right? The ones that really win titles. These are the games that they turn up for, that they show, we expected to win this game and we're going to win this game. And we have won this game. So that's the mentality of Spurs will be important to watch in this game. Are they going to, is their focus already shifting towards Liverpool and they kind of ignore this, they kind of underestimate this game? Or is there, they're switched on, they're focused, and they want to win this game? That's going to be important for Spurs to look for. So, Zaha will be available for Crystal Palace, so that will be a threat, and it will be interesting to see what happens there. But I mean, in an ideal world, you expect Spurs to win, right? You expect Spurs to win, and hopefully Mourinho will drill that into them. I'm gonna go with a 2-0 for Spurs. I think that's what's gonna happen. They're really very strong defensively. So as long as they can keep Zaha quiet, there's not really a lot of goal threat in that Palace side aside from Zaha. So I can see a 2-0 win for Spurs. I think it will be routine. I think Spurs will probably take it a little bit easy because of the Europa League commitments. By saying it easy, I mean they're not going to go as gung-ho as they normally would want to go. They're going to go like the way they played against Arsenal, where they're going to get they're going to try to get early goals, and then they'll probably try and defend and keep Palace at arm's length and make it easy for themselves. So that's kind of the way I see it going. Obviously, football is a funny game; it can change, but yeah, I think Spurs are gonna take this one 2-0. I think Liverpool against Fulham, again away from home. Same thing for Liverpool, but Liverpool have shown that they can do it. A couple of injury issues. Diego Jota is probably unavailable. Might be unavailable. Shaqiri is unavailable, but they might have Alisson back. They might have Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain back. Obviously, James Milner is also not available, but Thiago is not available as well. But Alexander-Arnold is back. Fulham are not the opposition that you're going to fear, about with injuries. It should be a fairly 4-0. I think this is probably going to be 4-0 easy win for Liverpool. There's not much. These are not the games that going to worry Liverpool too much. I think they've got enough in the tank to see off Liverpool, to see off Fulham. And the only question is what kind of is Klopp going to? I don't think he's going to rotate his squad. I don't think he needs to, because he got them doing that against Midtjylland. So I think for this game, the key will only be, to get players, make sure players, get a couple of early goals, get 2 or 3 early goals, kill the game off in the first half, and then kind of rest players in the second half to prepare for Spurs next. So I think that's the key, and I think that's what Klopp will be asking from his players. Let's not take this game too deep. Let's not underestimate Fulham. Let's not try and play with them. Let's try and crush them, get them off early, get the job done early, and then try and save our legs for the big game against Spurs. So I think that's going to be what Klopp's going to say. I think from Fulham's point of view and from Spurs' point of view, the longer they can keep Liverpool, at 1-0 or 0-0 or whatever, this 1-1, if they can somehow manage to get a goal, I don't think they will. But if they can keep them level, if they can keep them interested for as long as possible, that's going to be a win on their books. But yeah, it's gonna be an easy win, I think. Yeah, 4-0. It's probably easy. Yeah, there's no miracles happening there. And then we come to Arsenal against Burnley, and that is another one. I think that is going to be very, very interesting to watch. And what's going to be interesting, they did well in the Europa League actually, and they've now gone 6 out of 6 in the Europa League. I know it gets glossed over a lot, but that's actually a pretty phenomenal record. Not a lot of teams manage that. There are big teams that are playing in Europa, but not all of them manage that. So it's quite an incredible record to go 6 out of 6. Rightfully so, the competition is not the highest level, but that's, you can only beat what's in front of you, and they've done very, very well. But Burnley, I think this will be a game, I think, for Arsenal's point of view. Now, in an ideal world, in ideal circumstances, we're going to say Arsenal are going to beat Burnley, and they're going to beat them badly because Burnley suck. They literally suck. Them and Sheffield United are the literal, embodiment of the word shit, right? And they're little, because that's how bad they have been this season. You kind of expect that from West Brom. You kind of expect that from Fulham. But to be honest, Burnley and Sheffield have been very, very disappointing this season. Very, very disappointing. And it's difficult. And the worst part for both these two teams is you just don't know where the goals are going to come from. You just don't see goals in the side. They'll score goals here and there, but you just don't see them scoring enough goals to win matches and to win enough points to stay up. That's the issue. The good thing for them is that only one of them will probably go down, because Fulham and West Brom, they're probably going to take the other two spots. So the only question is, which one of these two? Sheffield currently take that spot. They're bottom of the table. So is it going to be Sheffield? Is it going to be Burnley? That's the thing, because only three teams can go down. So it really is going to be that. But Burnley, I think, are really poor. So if so in an ideal world, that's what happened. But Arsenal, because they have issues scoring goals, there is an opportunity for Burnley to try and keep it draw, keep it to 0-0, maybe try and sneak a goal at the end or something. But for Arsenal's point of view, I think this game is a good opportunity in some ways to test some of the youngsters. And then there's a few players that have actually done well. And Balogun has been quite good, although he has a contract situation, so he probably won't be playing. They've got Rice Nelson, they've got Mikel Aziz, who also did very well. So they've got options, and this is the kind of game where you can try them out, because this, you're at home against a team that's probably gonna, it's in a relegation battle. I mean, if you're not gonna try youngsters in these sort of games, and I'm not saying that they should start, they should probably come on in the second half or whatever. But if you can't give them games in these sort of games, then it really is an issue for Arsenal. So I think this would be a good point to look at that. But honestly, I think just the nature of needing points will mean that Arteta is probably going to stick to what he knows. And he can't park the bus. That's the key point. He shouldn't be parking the bus against Burnley. He's got to go on the off. He's got to go on the attack. Try and score goals. That's the message that's got to go there. Try and score goals. And Burnley are pretty accommodating. I watched them against City, and they're very accommodating opponents. They allow teams to play through them. They're very, very lax. I don't know if it's a fitness issue. I don't know if it is a tactical issue, but they're so lax at the back. You can easily play around them. They're not physical enough these days. So, they're there for the taking. Burnley are there for the taking. If Arsenal don't take it, then I think questions will be asked about it. I don't think he'll be fired. I don't think he's going to be fired. As long as he's in Europa, he's not going to be fired. Because I don't think Arsenal themselves see the hierarchy. I don't think they see themselves as a Champions League, as a top 4 team. They don't. So, the top 4 is not the goal, but winning Europa is probably something that they see as achievable. And Arteta has a knack for winning cup games. So, that's probably where it is. But I think it won't be side, but I think questions will start to be asked if he doesn't beat Burnley. But I think they'll beat Burnley. I think I really don't see Burnley posing as much of a challenge to Arsenal as some of the other teams have done recently. So it's probably going to be 2-0. I think the scoring will be a little bit of an issue. So I think 2-0. I don't see Burnley. I can't see where Burnley. And again, when I say nil, it's because it's not because Arsenal are very good defensively. Actually, they're pretty good defensively. But I just don't see where goals are coming from for Burnley. I just can't see it. So I don't see Burnley troubling the Arsenal defense. It's a question of whether Arsenal's attack can cut open Burnley enough to get the goals that they need. And I think they can. I think they have enough about them to be able to beat the likes of Burnley. So it should be an easy win. It should be a routine win for Arsenal. 2-0 is what I'm going with. And again, you never know how football turns out, but I think it should be fairly simple. But that's just my quick dirty preview of this weekend's games. Not all the games, obviously. We still got quite a few other games to come as well. The likes of Leicester against Brighton and Newcastle against West Brom, which is an interesting relegation battle there. But yeah, I mean, it's quite kind of interesting, right? We talk about this whole unpredictable season and all that, but at the end of the day, when you look at the top four, you look at the top four, it's the usual suspects, isn't it? That you would expect. Maybe not in the order, maybe not in the correct order, but kind of like expecting those are the four teams that are there, right? Isn't it? Well, I mean, they're not the top four yet, but because of the games that have been played, I mean, Leicester are fourth, but they played a game more than Manchester United. Southampton are fifth, but they played a game more than Manchester United and Manchester City. So you probably would expect one of those teams to be ahead of them. But it's an interesting season. It is an interesting season, if for the reason that we're still talking about the league title as a race. Even though we are 11 games in, last season that wasn't the case. We already knew 11 games and we knew Liverpool were going to win the title, or at least most of us knew. The few of us were holding out hope that that wasn't the case, but it looked like that was going to happen. It doesn't look like Liverpool will run away with the title, but I think they'll win it in the end. I think they'll win it. I just can't see the Spurs or Chelsea putting up a sustained challenge across the next 27 games. That's my issue. But we shall see. We shall see what happens. Let me know what you think about this weekend's games. What games are you excited for? What do you think are your predictions for the scores? And smash the like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We'd really appreciate your support. And all the best for your team and for the weekend's games. You enjoy that. We'll be back. We'll be here tomorrow with match reactions for the Manchester City Manchester United game, the Manchester Derby. We'll be here with match reactions for that. I won't be doing the Everton Chelsea game because I'll be watching the Real Madrid game at that time, or maybe actually I might switch to Everton Chelsea, and I'm not sure. I've not made my decision yet, but maybe we'll see. We'll see how which one goes. But you know, keep in mind for that. But we'll definitely be doing the Manchester Derby. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Have a good day or night, whatever time you're watching this. Enjoy the weekend. See you soon. Bye bye.